everybody, I'm Linksy.
I'm Caleb.
And you're here to think outside the coop. Good job! We did it!
Nailed it.
Nailed it.
Good morning, everybody.
I'm crying.
Today we're talking about identity.
You said that so... Today we're talking about identity.
Today we're talking about identity.
It's a real serious matter.
The Bourne identity. Mm-hmm. Not Bourne, not Jason Bourne, but Born Again. B-O-U-R-N-E.
Born. How were you born? What were you born into? No, okay.
Today we're going to talk about identity. You know.
Today we're talking about identity.
Who you are.
What does that mean to you? What is identity? This is the question on everybody's mind,
yeah.
Right? What is identity?
What is
to
identity?
You? To me, identity is like, it's who I am. It's how I present myself to other people. But more than that, it's who I've always been. And that's a hard thing to nail down, because if you think of your identity as who you've always been, you might get some conflicting ideas about who you are right now.
My experiences, like who I am is based on like what I feel and experience, and what I've done before, my past, and what I can bring to the table, and what other people see me as well. Mm-hmm. The older I've gotten, I've realized that identity changes. I feel like I've changed who I am as a person. I'm not the same person I was yesterday, even. Mm-hmm. So,
no, I won't be the same tomorrow.
With experience. So,
yeah, experience changes everything, and I think that's kind of what I wanted to talk about today too. Is changing identity, and what does that do to the psyche? What does that do to your mind? You know, when you change when your behavior doesn't match what your identity has been, or how you've perceived yourself, or how others in your life, in your formative years, perceived you.
Yeah.
I think that was a big thing for me, was like disentangling who I really am, who I see myself as, this person that has like a side that no one else sees, and how do I connect that to the person that everyone sees, and make those the same person, rather than having to hide this other side of me. Find a way to bring it into my like complete identity. And so I guess in some way I'm talking about integration of your shadow.
Ooh, the shadow.
Yeah, that's a big topic.
Or alter egos. A lot of times people have alter egos. You know, who you are on social media is not the same person you are in person. Who you are in your work setting is not the same person you are at home. Who you are with one friend group isn't the same as your family.
Yeah.
So that is not so much a shadow, but just an alter self, you know, alter ego.
It could be a shadow. It's like the shadow that you can only show around one side of people and not around another.
Yeah.
So it isn't the shadow some of the time, but I guess you're right. Yeah, that wouldn't be like considered shadow, because you're still aware of it.
Oh, yeah. You're absolutely aware of it. I, for a long time, was a different person. You know, working for the Forest Service as I was being at home with people, or, you know, outside of the job.
That's a part of growing up, I feel, too. Though having some sort of like shame about a part of yourself in your family unit, and feeling like you have to sequester
It wasn't
some
shame.
part of you.
It wasn't shame. It was more of the sense of I wanted to actually fit in. So I was willing to chameleon myself, or make myself different to fit in with that world. But I mean, I did have a lot of family turmoil, for sure. We can talk about that another time.
Yeah.
But no, this was more of the actual, like, change my identity a bit to fit in, you know, not so much to feel like I'm shamed. But that is a thing, you know, you can be shameful about a different part of you that you're not willing to face and accept, you know, and grow from.
That was more my experience growing up, is like I felt a certain amount of shame about who I felt I was. And so like my friends would pull that out of me, and it would feel good to be able to like be that person around other people. And then like at home, it just felt like that wasn't something that I had the freedom to express. And maybe that was something that I put on myself. I don't really know that my parents kind of explicitly put some like guides on me, but a lot of that was, in my mind, my identity was I was a Christian. And so a lot of times when I would see Christians posting stuff, I would just assume that that was part of my identity because they're Christian and I'm Christian. And I think that's how a lot of like my views of Christianity got a little messed up, is I put too much stock in like what I was seeing on media of how Christians act and not so much like how my family actually was and their like heart and character. I kind of crossed those lines to like make the assumption that they must also be like that and think that of me, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, because you wanted to fit in because that's what you knew or what you thought was like that world, Christianity,
Yeah.
You felt like you had to be this
perfect Christian girl that, yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's a lot of times we get these ideas like stuck in our mind of what our identity should be, like who we should be if we belong to this group. And with the internet, I think that makes it even harder because for so long it was just you had your community, your little community, and everyone knew you. And so you would be able to have these conversations about these things rather than just seeing someone's ideas on the internet and seeing all of these other people like, oh yeah. And then your brain sees that like, oh, that's what everyone thinks then, because you see so many people like liking it and they've got like 50,000 likes and you're like, oh my gosh, everyone feels this way on the inside. And it's like, no, that's like a pool of millions of people who probably just like.
It's more than millions. It's billions now.
Yeah.
In case anybody is wondering, we have surpassed 10 billion people on the planet.
Wow.
Yeah, people are always like, oh, it's 7, oh, it's 8. No,
I thought it was 7. It was 7 growing up.
Yeah, it was 7 growing up. It's 10 now. It's 10 billion people. So we are in a pool of billions of people on the internet. Wow. Not millions, billions. Yeah. So that's, times 1,000 of what you think. So people getting 50,000 likes that is a community now.
Mm-hmm. It is. That's the thing.
And that's what it is. People are like, oh, that's such importance. Like his ideas of what he says, like,
we've gone into an echo chamber rather than a community full of diverse feelings and mutual care and respect for each other. And now, like, even back like hundreds of years ago, they had like people that they would like treat kind of shitty, but they were still part of the community and they still took care of them. Because
they had a role as part of the community. Mm-hmm. Because back then when you only had a certain amount of, a number to take care of everything, to make a world run, like they had so few people that even they would have specific roles. And if they were like, oh, they're the town's outsider, like they don't really come in and do any of that kind of social stuff. Yeah. But he had his own roles anyways. And that's a lot of times.
Him for that and need them for that. And I think like what we're getting at is identity is also like a social construct. Like it's something that other people are feeding into and is built upon the acceptance of others. We need acceptance from others to kind of like validate our identity in a sense. And if that is dissonant, like how we feel we are is dissonant to the people around us and the people that we are looking to accept us. If those two are dissonant, it causes like this real like internal turmoil.
Yeah.
Ooh. What happens when you identity crisis?
Yeah. What is an identity crisis? I think that
I've had one.
I've had many. I moved every 6 months. So I had an identity crisis twice a year. I was actually.
Why do you think that is?
I was being ready. Why? Because I'm nomadic. I love the feeling of change.
But to change everything about yourself. Why do you think that you didn't feel like you could have one? Your identity was just, my identity is whatever anybody else wants me to be.
Yeah, I'd split families growing up. So it's like I was 2 different people already from the get-go. I was conditioned to do that when I was young. I'm not going to act the same at my dad's versus my mom's house. And that's just how it is. That's how any divorcee parent, child has growing up. Is there's that part that's severed and there's 2 different parts of you now. You can change as much as it as you want. Like one side I could be like, goody Christian boy, like helping out community stuff. And then the other one's just like edgy skateboarder. And like when I go explore and be more creative out in the, woods and stuff like that, getting outside more. So the pull between those two got more difficult the older I got, and I realized like I was more passionate, and like I found out that me was part of this side instead of that side. So I had to have an identity switch, I don't know what else to call it besides like an ego death. I've always just kind of referenced it as an ego death. But yeah, I had my first ego death when I was like 14, 13, and choosing like one parent over the other full time. And that's what was important to me, that was a push on my identity, because it was coming to a fork where I have two different identities and I have to choose one. And the choice is always, but the choice has always felt good, because it was like embracing once you realize that like you put all of your energy into who you are. And it's just like, I feel so happy about that. Like, this is who I am. Like, I've embraced this, it's me. And that was a high for me, it felt like chasing a drug, and I loved that feeling. So I had like jobs that would only last a couple months, and I'd start something new, because it was just like, I want that rush of something new again, a new identity. People don't know me. It's a new community I'm dipping my toes into.
Yeah.
And then it began with moving, when I worked for the Forest Service, and my trade school I went to. Like, it was a whole new beginning for me. I took it and I ran with it, I felt like it was a redemption from high school, from grade school.
Yeah.
And I wanted a new shot at it, and I got it. And it was incredible. And then I had great opportunities to work with the Forest Service. And it's like every fall I would apply somewhere else, wait till like January to pick and choose where I want to go. And it's like, oh, I'm going to end up in Ogden, Utah this summer, I'm going to end up in Douglas, Wyoming. Who knows? And it was just like, pack up all my shit, put it in a truck, and head out the end of April, and so it begins, And it was a whole new world. I loved that. But I realized the more I was doing it, I was losing myself, because home didn't feel like home for me anymore. I'd be gone. And the first time was when I came back from trade school. I was gone for 2.5 years. And I came back home, and things changed. Like, roads had new construction I never thought they would fix. Friends moved. Houses were gone. There's new apartment complexes where there used to be an old shop I went to.
So you missed out on all that.
I missed the change that was happening. So when I came home, and what was home for me was not what was there in person anymore. And I realized that over the years, it dawned on me that home is not actually the physical of what it is. It's the memories and the feelings of it.
Yeah.
I have that feeling and the memories of it being home, but it doesn't physically feel like home anymore. And it was scary, because then it was like, well, fuck. I got no roots nowhere, I'm a dirtbag. I live out of the back of my truck.
So you were hiding your identity.
I needed roots, I wanted somewhere to belong and actually be a part of a community. I was running away all the time, because I loved that feeling.
Yeah,
that I could
so
be
in
something
that
new
instance,
again.
you were like running by like borrowing others' identities every time you went to a new place, and your identity being,
Yeah, a lot of times I would
you.
steal identity, but a lot of times it was because I wouldn't show enough of my personality or my identity anyways.
Was that like fear of being rejected for who you were? Or?
Well, no, for one, it's pretty hard to get fired by the government. You could pretty much do anything, as we know now, and not get fired.
Yeah.
But
Rough.
so it wasn't a feeling of like, oh, I'll be kicked out or anything. It was
No, I don't think.
And also not communally either. It was just more of, what is this world all about? It's a new place, I have no say in this new place. I want to just kind of be open-minded and just take in things, empty my cup, so to say. I love like emptying my cup and filling it with new stuff. So yeah, it was a high. And yeah, over the years, I just finally wanted roots instead, because I realized I was missing that home aspect. I couldn't find home anywhere else. So
yeah, it's like an emptiness when you are constantly finding your identity in others, for sure.
Yeah.
I gave up a lot of my identity for like relationships, like whatever they wanted me to be, because I felt like that was like one of those things where like, oh, you're a woman, you have to like fall in line, and like your man is your life now, and that kind of like what I took that in as what a good Christian woman does. And I took that seriously, like to the point of losing myself, losing everything I enjoyed in my relationships, and just trying to like be the best woman I could be, you know? And like in that, I never found myself, and it caused a lot of anxiety and stress in my relationships. And then I would end up doing something to break it off, you know, like just to like get out, like to escape that feeling of feeling trapped.
So you would break yourself out. You would start looking for back doors, ways to get out of it.
Absolutely. Yeah. Whether that was like another, like talking to another person to like make me feel validated in who I actually was. Like I couldn't show that to my partner. And after my divorce, I like realized like, man, this is something I really have to work on in myself. And so I like didn't date for a long time, not seriously anyways. Like it was like a serious, like a series of just unimportant people to make me feel validated for a time. And then that turned into, like, man, I don't feel like I can be myself with absolutely anyone, you know? Like I really had lost myself, and I had to like go within myself, you know, spend a lot of time inward and just like alone, which was hard on its own right, because then I was feeling very isolated and
loneliness, I'm sure.
Yeah, a lot of loneliness and a lot of that identity crisis of like, oh, who am I now that I can't go find this in somebody else? Like, who am I? I don't know. Like, I had to figure that out from the ground up. And then when I met you, I was just beginning to find that. So like you caught me at a time where I was like really raw and open to like anything. And you showed me, like, you helped me see who I was.
Yeah, because I finally found a place where it was just like, for one, I wanted to do better than where I was before, because I left on a bad note from where I was, and I was like, you know what, I want to try again. Like I want to do it better. You know, I could make better product that way.
You cared about enough to like want to change.
Yeah.
To be the person that you wanted to be.
Yeah.
But
which brought me back to this town, which then ended up, next town over, which then made me find you, because it was like I wanted roots. I wanted a place that I could find home in, putting that energy and love into, you know?
And I think something that's like important that we should say explicitly in this conversation is just following kind of one step at a time, and following the next, like the thing that feels most you next. Like what is the thing that is calling me? And just doing that and following like our intuition, we found each other. And I think all the times that like I was trying to find someone out of anxiety, or, you know, like I would always end up so blinded by like all my trauma and stuff. It would just end up being this thing to fill this like really anxious need, where with you, it was more like, no, I just want to find somebody who like accepts me as I am. And like just accepts me. And like a big part of that was being able to like tell you how I felt, because I never felt like I could do that in my past relationships with any friendships, anyone. Like my needs were off the table. And with you, it was like, if he can't handle me being like, I need this from you.
Yeah.
And handling me being a little crazy, because I was a little crazy, you know, just from all those years of not putting myself first.
Your identity. As a whole,
I was
accepting your identity.
Yeah, you had to be able to be okay to handle that. I was in a very like important growth period that was like, I needed this for me as well. You know, I was doing something for myself, and I needed somebody who could handle me doing something for myself.
Oh yeah, I absolutely like accepted you that way, because I had that same experience. Like I found out myself like many years ago, you know, and it was like I knew exactly where you were finding yourself, and it's like, oh, this is like beautiful, you know, like let's find out who you are. Let's get you into school, you know. That's a long passion of yours that you've just been waiting and wanting to do.
I wouldn't have ever done that without you pushing me. And now it's like this is my new thing that I'm going through, that is really like I'm having an ego death as we speak. Like it's been like a week of just really
a week.
Well, this past week is when I've really like buckled down and started like journaling about this, and just like accepting that, you know, I'm gonna be like okay, I guess I should preface this with like my whole life I've felt like lazy and like didn't try very hard. And I'm just like, if I couldn't do it easily, I didn't want to spend the time or effort to do it. Like, I just want things to be easy. I don't have a high capacity for stress at all. I'm a very sensitive person, and I've always like hid from stress. I have a very avoidant personality when it comes to stress. And so college was very stressful the first time around because I was a new mother. And so I told myself I was never going to do it again. And then when I met Caleb, he really pushed me to like see that I was somebody that could do well in this and that I have a passion with psychology. And it's something I really enjoy, and something that like the well kind of never runs dry for me as long as I don't get burnt out on it, you know. But I don't know, going through like I'm applying to graduate school. So going through the graduate school program and application process has been difficult for me. It's hard for me to be successful. Like, I find it very difficult because in my mind, I feel like people are always going to find out that like, oh, I'm not actually very driven or hardworking, because that's always been my identity. And so now that I like have these behaviors that don't match this identity I've had for, 20 something years, I guess it's kind of changed over the past few years. So yeah, 27, 28 years. And these past 2 years, I've been really hardworking and driven, but it's been a struggle to be hardworking and driven, like it's a constant struggle. And just realizing like, no, this is my identity. And once that like flip kind of switched a week or so ago, it stopped becoming hard, like this past week, it's been easier to just like work hard and to not like think all the time, like, oh, I don't want to be doing this. And what really like flipped the switch of making me realize like I had this thought of like everything is coming at me so fast and I just want it all to stop. Like I don't feel like I'm ready when it comes. It's my driving anxiety. Like having driving anxiety made me realize that this was a sensation that was happening in my body when I was driving, where I'd be driving and I'd be like, I don't want like whatever's coming towards me to come, because when it comes, I'm not going to be able to handle it. So realizing like, oh, like that's obviously not like a logical thing, because I've been driving for 16 years.
Well, it's true. However, it has, because of your school and stress as a whole has been affecting you. Your driving has degraded.
Yeah.
In our relationship. Like at the very beginning, you were super confident.
Stopped driving.
We drove hours for road trips to meet up for each other and stuff like that. A lot of times. And we took like huge cross country road trips and stuff too. And you were driving around town easy peasy. And us moving in together in the newer place.
I've never had driving anxiety.
Yeah, it just picked up and it kept increasing. And it was to the point that a lot of times, like, I would be going to the grocery store all the time, or I would be picking up things because you never left the house all day because you'd be mortified to drive. And it's like, it's a phobia. You're creating a phobia within yourself.
It is agoraphobia when you can't go outside, yeah.
I think so.
I almost became like agoraphobic of like, when I get in the car, I'm not going to be able to like, what if I pass out in the car? Like, that's not a logical thing to like.
No, but you were making yourself feel like you could pass out.
Because the anxiety gives me all the same physical sensations of fainting.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I was starting to like really worry, like, oh my God, I'm going to pass out while I'm driving, or like, I don't know. I don't know what I thought was going to happen. It was just like, it wasn't logical.
You were just throwing anxiety at like all the what ifs.
Yeah.
And I am a huge problem with playing what ifs. I'm very much a masochist, I would say. I
think a lot of us are emotional masochists.
Yeah. And I would always go to the worst case scenario of things. And for me, a long time to break through with that, between you and helping with doing jujitsu for a little bit, and also kind of like doing some podcasting. I was listening to a lot more at that point too. I was really opening up myself like that. And I realized that like thinking the worst case for me would always hinder my feelings for it. And I would always just jump to that and just have anxiety, which I never validated as actual anxiety. I just called it stress.
Yeah, same.
But it was. Because I thought it was going to be the worst case, and I have a lot of power, so I would be manifesting it to be that way. And it's like, what I realized recently growing too is just like, now that I've thought the worst case scenario, I've gotten the worst idea that it could be, and I've thought it through. So that theory of like, if you can think something could happen, it could happen, a Murphy's Law, if you will. I've already thought the worst case scenario. So that's already been in my mind, and I've played that situation. I can let go of that now.
Yeah,
It's
but
gone.
a lot of people aren't that way. They'll like think and think and think an idea to death, and it just becomes this ruminative cycle.
I used to too, until I realized that now that I've thought of the worst case, it can only get better from here. Like now that I've thought of the worst case scenario, it can only get better.
Yeah.
And that's true, because it can't get any worse than the worst case I've thought of in my own mind. And it's been proven time and time again.
I do worry though, like that kind of thinking, does it keep you in a spiral of like, do you feel like comfort now in thinking about worst case scenarios?
No, because now that I've thought it through, I don't think it anymore.
Yeah.
I've been able to pass that feeling
That's
of being
how
stuck.
journaling is for me. If I have like a feeling that won't go away, if I journal it out and like journal out what my fear is, it's like, oh, it's on paper. I don't have to worry about it anymore.
Okay,
Like,
same
it's
thing.
there.
For
Yeah,
me,
I guess
I had to think it through. I'm not so much an actual pen on paper sometimes.
I need to write it down because otherwise I won't think the whole thought through. And I think that's something with ADHD, why people with ADHD have a hard time. There's a couple reasons, I think, but why we have a hard time really processing our emotions is it's hard to like think in your mind that long to actually process such a big issue.
Well,
and then a
think how
lot of
much-
times it's easy to avoid that feeling altogether.
Yeah. Think how much mental willpower you have to think a thought all the way through.
All the
And
way through, especially if you have ADHD and your brain just can't do it.
Can't do it.
Like, yeah. And so being able to journal, I have an active component where my body is doing something. So the hyperactivity is like lessened and I can actually think through. And then if I lose my train of thought, I can just look back and see what I was thinking and finish it out and read it back. And so that's been very helpful for me to like, it's on paper, I can let it go and think it through fully too.
Yeah.
Another important topic to discuss is how when you're changing your identity, it's not easy. You know, your body wants to fight against it because your identity is what has kept you safe all these years, right? Like in your home life, your identity was fostered in a way that it would keep you safe and keep your parents happy and around.
It protects you from the outside world.
It protects you.
But it's not in a good way.
In some way,
sometimes
your identity starts to attack you after you realize like, wow, like as a kid, I had to be, very people pleasing in order to keep, my parent who had a mental illness from decompensating and not being able to take care of me, something like that. As an adult, that turns into, I'm enabling my boyfriend who is an adult and should be able to take care of themselves, and they can't, and I'm taking over that responsibility because that's what I know. And so that becomes something that protected you in childhood and kept your parent at a place where they could take care of you. And now you're an adult who can take care of themselves, and you're taking care of an adult who can take care of themselves. And what a toll that does on you, because you don't have the capacity to do anything for yourself at that point.
Yeah, to already be having to learn who you are and understand the growth of that is difficult. And then to have someone else to take care of on top of that, that's growing and learning is also very difficult too. I think having a single parent is extremely difficult because you're helping like this child foster and grow and learn these new things and understand what the world is, while you're also trying to find yourself. And you change with time. You're not going to be the same person you were a year ago. Guaranteed.
You hope. And that's when it becomes
Well, if you are,
an
then
issue.
you're in a stagnant, and that means that there needs to be some sort of change that's you're holding back from, you know?
That's what I was kind of illustrating with that, like, obviously fake scenario. But I mean, how many times have we known somebody that has gone through that? And I'm somebody who like ended up in those people pleasing relationships, and to leave those relationships meant I have to do something for myself. And that was scary. And it's still scary. And that's something that like grad applications, trying to write about myself was like the most stressful thing I've ever, trying to write positive stuff about myself. All of the things I've done, like these are facts. These are things that I've completed, and saying them in a way that like was complimentary of myself was the most, I mean, I had a mental breakdown, like
numerous times.
literally.
Because you were so scared to be at the front door of like, all these wonderful opportunities are right here waiting for you. And you're just like, no, I'm not worthy.
This isn't my identity, and so I need to run away from it because this is scary, this is dangerous. You're doing something you've never done before,
it's
and
a red
it's
flag
dangerous.
going off in my brain. I should just run away from it. And it's like, no, it's not a red flag at all. You're just creating a red flag within yourself.
And that's why when you're changing your identity, it's so difficult for people to change.
Yeah,
because
it feels like it's a red flag. It's like an amygdala
scary in
sensation.
Your body. It's your amygdala saying like, hey, this isn't who we are. This is scary.
Turn around. This is not us.
This could kill us. You know, it's that like lizard brain that's like, this is not how we were raised.
The lizard brain.
The lizard brain saying like, when you were a baby, this would have killed you. So I think you need to like chill out. We might die. But it's not true because we don't live in a world where our survival is dependent on, hunting and gathering anymore. We don't learn these things in childhood.
It's not that primitive, but it is. It's become a monetary survival system.
Yeah.
Which is like, I have to fend for myself to survive. Yeah. So it's also difficult, I understand, but and the less that you give into the monetary system, the more it does become a primitive, which is why a lot of people like choose to be homeless, intentionally live out of their van for years, or like just give up their life and go fly out to California and be a bum on the beach. Like there's something about it that gives up all that kind of extra fluff, and they just want the primitive lifestyle. And I admire that. Like I kind of live that a bit.
It's almost like a regression of sense of, and it really is like your primitive mind saying, this isn't a way we can't survive like this. This isn't normal. This isn't how it's meant to be. And I think a lot of the mental illness that we're seeing today is because we really are living in a world we've never lived in before. And that's really stretching our identities as humans. What does it mean to be human?
Well, it never will, because how much has our life changed in a lifetime in 30 years? What will it be in another 30 years from now?
Yeah.
What will the world be like in another 30 years from now? Because we all are breathing and moving and a part of this like machine that's still going.
It's all going to be different.
It will always change.
We have robots now, guys, but iRobot. Let's hope not. But yeah, I think that as humans, it's becoming something where we're moving away from more intimate conversations with other humans. It's all happening online now. We're interacting with computers like they're humans now. Yeah. The way we see our phones, we've learned, is the same way we look at loved ones. So we're becoming almost Narcissus, falling in love with a mirror of ourselves. The myth of Narcissus? He saw his reflection and fell in love and tried to kiss himself in the water.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of that with the presence of social media and just being tapped into a virtual world instead of a physical world.
If you want to change your identity, I feel like the best way you can do that is to remove people from your life that don't validate, until you can get to that place where you're like, no, this is who I am. Find people who are validating of the person you want to be, and foster that. I think that's something that's changed me a lot, is my friendships are a lot more validating of who I want to be and not who I have been, or who I have been, I guess. Like, they're more validating of who I want to be, and they help foster those kind of...
Yeah.
They help foster that. They see that, and they accept it and love it and support it.
Yeah. I would say on the other side of that, if it's too scary to drop relationships because it's something that you latch and hold on to, then I think instead you should try to search for another group that is what you want to be, what you inspire to be, what your passion is, and follow and find those groups of people who are like, oh, this is what I want to be. Like, maybe I really want to get into skateboarding all of a sudden. This is my life that I want.
Yeah, start hanging out at the skate park.
Go hang out at the skate park.
Make
find
friends.
people who are better and be like, wow, I look up to you because I want to be where you are at, and you can find that inspiration. And then that's a great way to find your identity too, is just to really run with what you want.
Yeah. And then once you're there, foster other people. Like if you're in a place where you feel like you've got a rock solid identity and, you know, I think the best next step is to start becoming that person that is validating of others. And that's honestly how you find that community in the first place, is being validating of others. And then they'll be validating of you hope.
Yeah.
And if they aren't, then you can just be like, oh, sorry, you're not my kind of person. Goodbye. And kick them out the door.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you're still trying to figure out your identity, and it's the kind of the baby first steps to kind of figure out who I am or who I want to be.
Maybe journal.
Or
have a talk with a friend that you can trust.
Yeah, or if not, then find somebody who you don't know at all. Maybe find a stranger and have a conversation with them. That's a lot of scariness, but sometimes opening up like that, they can tap into things that you probably would have never thought. A therapist would be wonderful. You know?
A homeless guy is probably cheaper, but a therapist.
Talk to a homeless guy. I've had wonderful conversations with homeless people.
We've had conversations with homeless people.
There's still people.
But yeah, I think this is a good place to end it. Yeah.
This rain has really picked up.
This rain has really picked up, which is honestly kind of nice. I'm sure it sounds nice on the video.
It's a rainy day.
But I'm getting a little wet.
Actually, there is one more thing I need to do. I have to go grab my papers, but...
Go get your papers. Look at your dry spot where your leg was.
I know, you like that?
That's so funny.
It's my dry spot.
Look at his dry spot. He's a wet boy.
That's what we got.
Thanks for chatting with us today.
Thanks for joining us
today. We
today.
hope you enjoyed thinking outside the coop with us. And if you'd like to see more videos like this, or you're into some of our gaming content, hit that subscribe button down below and a little thumbs up for us if you enjoyed the content, please. Why? What? We're YouTubers.
It's just so funny self-promoting. Yeah.
This is part of our identity now.
Is it?
We're YouTubers.
You know, I guess it is. It's a part of our identity. Our identity is always changing, I guess.
We're YouTubers now. That's different.
Yeah. I like videography. I like editing videos.
We're learning new skills, and it's changing who we are.
It does change who we are. And it's okay to change.
That's a good thing.
It's a good thing to change. You know, things happen, and life goes on. Everything is changing. So why don't you change with it too? You know, like, it's okay.
Until next time.
Until next time. Thanks for joining us. From our world to yours.
From our coop to yours.
Yeah. My coop. We fixed our little fencing over here. Ooh. Mucho besos. Bye.
Welcome, everybody. I'm Linksy.
I'm Caleb.
And you're thinking outside the... Wait, what is it? and
you're with us. You're here. You're here to think outside the coop. Oh, God. Let's get this over with. You're here to think outside the coop.
No. Okay, 1, 2, 3. And you're... Babe.
Is that what we're saying? And you're here to think outside the coop?
That's what you wrote too.
And you're here to think outside the... Okay.
1, 2, 3. And you're here to think outside the coop. Roll it.
I think you should say, and you're here, and then we can both say to think outside the coop.
You're here to
think outside
the coop. Both of us.
Yeah.
Okay. And you're here to think outside the coop.
Yeah. Okay. All over again. You ready?
Okay. 1, 2, 3. And you're here to
the whole thing. Who are you?
Okay.
Is that funny?
The fettuccine says she's here